Good day, everybody, and welcome to this presentation. My name is Abdullahi Saka. I will be talking on Africa BIM Survey 2020. This will be my outline. I have presenters well. Introduction, I will introduce the BIM Africa report and the BIM Africa survey, then the background, then the literature review, then the research process, then our data collection, research result and discussion, and then the conclusion. So going to the first thing, the presenters bio. I'm the team lead for Research and Development Committee of BIM Africa, and currently I'm a doctoral researcher at the Department of Building and Real Estate, Hong Kong Polytechnic University, Hong Kong. Where I'm currently working on BIM in developing countries with specific focus on the SMEs. Also, I'm a proprietor for Libas Consult, a registered firm in Nigeria. I'm an associate member, Hong Kong Institute of Polytechnic, Hong Kong Institute of Project Management, and I'm a member of International Facility Management. I'm a member of Association of Researchers in Construction Management, and I'm a quant surveyor by profession. So, introduction. The Africa BIM Survey forms part of the Africa BIM Report 2020, published by the BIM Africa Research and Development Committee. The BIM Africa Research and Development Committee consists of researchers from academia and the industry. This Africa BIM Report 2020 consists of the summary of findings for the Africa BIM Survey, which I'll be presenting today, and it consists of project showcase, experts' opinion. So the major objectives why we embarked on this particular Africa BIM report at the Research and Development Committee is to showcase the level of BIM awareness and adoption across the continent. We believe that by so doing, it will encourage the industry to understand that BIM is not something that is impossible. People are actually working on BIM in Africa, and if they can do it, so can you too. So the major reason why we decided to focus on Africa is because when people are talking about BIM report globally, they often focus on Europe and developed countries. They don't talk about Africa as if you're not doing BIM on Africa. MBS is not going to do Africa BIM report for us. Neither will any foreign body will do BIM Africa BIM report for us. So the onus lies on us as Africans that are making use of BIM or other digital tools for us to actually talk about what we are doing in order to encourage our colleagues to actually move forward. So this is one of the these are some of the objectives why we embark on the Africa BIM report. So the background. As we all know, the AEC industry is very complex, coupled with the culture of the industry, increase in population, increase in stakeholder, increase in demand, and also there is lack of information reuse and management, and there is also poor cross-disciplinary communication in our industry. The Economist in 2017, they said that the global average value added for the construction industry and manufacturing industry increases from 100 to 120 and from 100 to 200 respectively between 1995 to 2014. And they said, if the productivity of the construction industry had matched that of the manufacturing industry over the last 20 years, the world will be $1.6 trillion better off each year. This shows that when you compare the construction industry to other industry like the manufacturing industry, we are slow, and most especially when it comes to innovation. The construction industry is very slow to adapt change or innovation, and we are always lagging other industry behind. If you see this picture, you see the construction industry as a big elephant, and the innovation is trying to push the construction industry to the side. But that has been the story for a long time now. And this assertion that the construction industry, that we are facing so many challenges, has been reinforced by industry reports over the years. We have the first one. This one talked about Building to Sky, the romance of the skyscraper by Alfred in 1934. Then after that, we have the Simon report, we have the Bauer report, then we have the Lantham report in 1994 talking about constructing the team by Sir Michael Lantham. We have the Heger report, Rethinking Construction. We have Andrew report in 2009, and we have one of the most famous one, government construction strategy, where they talk about BIM. So this various industry reports have talked about the problems, about the challenges that we are facing in the construction industry, and all of them, most of all these reports, they talk about collaboration. The need for us to collaborate in the construction industry. The need for us to work together. We don't need to work in silos. The architect doesn't need to work on his own, so there is a need for us to work collaboratively. So over the years, the AEC industry has been changing with emerging technologies. The HBR recently, they talked about different sectors and how advanced the sector are digitally. So of special notice is the construction industry. They classify the construction industry as the second least digitized sector. However, if you look at this category 5, they are of the opinion that the construction industry is labor intensive, which we all know, and there is a potential to provide digital tools to their workforce. Also, they said this construction industry is highly localized sector that lags across most dimensions. It's not surprising. Also, they said there is potential to digitize customer transactions, which means the construction industry has the potential to actually digitize its workflow. It can actually digitize how we do things in the construction industry in order to be more effective. Over the years, one of the most common technology is the BIM, which it's very popular these days, which we are discussing in this conference. The BIM, we know you make use of it from conceptual, detailed design, analysis, documentation, fabrication, construction logistics, operation and maintenance, and then up to the demolition stage. So the BIM is very popular, and people are actually making, and this particular BIM has gained a sector-wide influence in the industry, according to Eastman 2011. So the BIM movement, in 2003, the U.S. General Services Administration pioneered the implementation of BIM on public projects. Same thing in 2009, the Hong Kong Housing Authority decided to deploy BIM, the development of standard modular flats. 2010, we saw something similar in Singapore. In 2011, the United Kingdom mandated the use of BIM on all public projects above 5 million, with 2016 as the deadline. So if you look at this particular picture that you're seeing here, you see that people are talking about BIM globally. You look at the United States, you look at Canada, you look at Norway, Sweden, Finland. But if you look at Africa, you see that nobody's talking about BIM in Africa, which is sad. So these are one of the major reasons why we decided to put Africa on the map. We need to let people know that we're actually doing BIM, we're actually working on BIM in Africa. So we're actually talking about BIM. We are not being left behind. So I'll move to the literature review section. So it is known that the developed country and the developing country are making efforts towards the adoption of BIM. However, the adoption in developing countries is slower. This is not surprising because oftentimes the developing countries are on the disadvantaged side of the digital divide, in the sense that there's already a digital divide between developing country and developed country. So now there's another digital divide between the when it comes to the different sectors that we have. The construction industry is lacking behind. Now imagine construction sectors in developing countries. That means they will be at the most disadvantaged side of the digital divide. In the UK, the MBS report, they recently published one, they said that the BIM level of usage and awareness has increased from 13% to 73%. That's quite interesting. Despite the seemingly increase in BIM adoption across the globe, the level of adoption is not as high as expected. This is according to Anila and Adamu 2018. And in 2015, Nojong and Lee carried out a research whereby they compared different continents. And they actually concluded that Middle East and Africa are slow adopters. This is as far back as 2015. I don't think the story is the same again, because now in Middle East, people are actually talking more about BIM than in Africa. And we see more of BIM implementation in Middle East than in Africa. So that means from 2015 and between 2015 and 2020, the Middle East has been able to move forward, but the same thing cannot be said of Africa continent. So in 2019, one of the research I worked on, that I'm currently working on in the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, we actually did taxonomy of building information modeling research, whereby we classify the BIM studies between 2006 and 2017. And if you notice, BIM study in Africa, then notable studies that we were able to that we got from Web of Science. Web of Science is actually a database. We are only able to get 17 studies from Africa compared to 245, 268, 288 from other continents. From 54 countries, we are only able to get 17 studies. That's very low compared to other continents. And recently, while I was preparing for this presentation, I actually did a quick search of BIM on Scopus. Scopus is another database. And presently now we have about 11,000 documents talking about BIM. But sadly, out of this 11,000, maybe 1,000 or less than 1,000 will be talking about BIM in Africa. However, regardless, despite the fact that the developing country and Africa specifically, we stand to gain on BIM, but we don't talk about BIM that much in Africa. So Africa continent, the population is expected to double by 2015, meaning, and in this same Africa continent, out of the 25 fastest growing cities in the world, 10 of them are in Africa. We have Bamako, we have Lagos, we have Dar es Salaam, and we have Kampala. The meaning of this is there will be an increase in demand on the AEC industry, coupled with the current infrastructure deficit on the continent. And this will put the African AEC in a strategic position towards the development on the continent. And the adoption of technologies in the industry will no doubt be of immense benefit. Meaning, if we are going to adopting BIM or other technologies in the construction industry, is really going to help us to meet the demand and for us to cover for this current infrastructure deficit that we have. However, as I've said earlier, there has been little report on BIM from Africa. In 2017, Okweleke and Ikediase presented the case of Africa developing country and concluded that the adoption rate is very slow in Africa. Also, in another work that's part of my ongoing PhD research at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, we explored BIM studies in Africa and realized the few BIM studies in Africa are actually coming from Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, the highlighted part on this map. And after we evaluated the study, we were able to conclude that the BIM research is growing with increase in number of publications over the years. Because presently, compared to 2010, 2009, you can't compare the level of awareness of BIM in Africa to 2019. So, and then we were able to conclude that the division of BIM in Africa is slow and at infancy stage. And we were able to highlight some barriers like lack of training, lack of awareness, lack of demand, and so on and so forth. That was in 2019. So some of these points that I've highlighted actually encourage us to carry out a continent-wide survey on BIM. Because when people talk about BIM, they often leave out Africa, and even BIM studies in Africa is very low. So we need to put Africa out there. We need to let people know. So this is the research process. The research process is from review to permission to pilot survey to survey, data analysis. So for the review, we review present extant BIM studies like the MBS studies, the McGraw-Hill studies, and academic research papers from the academia. So after we review it at the Research and Development Committee of BIM Africa, we decided to go for the MBS survey that they publish every year since 2011. They published the 10th edition in 2020. We're still going to talk about it later. So we got permission from MBS to actually make use of the survey form. And after that, we adapted the survey to suit the African context because we can't compare the African market to the UK market. And then we can make use of the type of survey that they are making use of in 2020 in the UK with our own first Africa survey. So we try to adapt in order to suit the African context. And we translated the survey. We have English version and French version in order to cater for some regions in Africa. And after that, we embark on the main survey. Then we did the data analysis, which involved data cleaning, compilation analysis, and presentation. So the data collection, the main survey span between November 2019 and May 2020, and we got responses from 30 countries across different regions in Africa. bearing in mind that we only have 54 countries in Africa. So for the fact that we have 30 countries out of 54 countries, that's more than 50%. So that's really an interesting aspect of this particular survey. And all these 30 countries, they are coming from different regions. They're coming from North Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa. In West Africa, we have Nigeria, Liberia, and some other countries with the most respondents coming from Nigeria and West Africa. In Southern Africa, we have South Africa, we have Botswana, and we have Lesotho. Bearing in mind that we only have like 4 or 5, we have like 5 or 6 countries in Southern Africa. So the fact that we have 3 countries represented in this first African survey, a nice one. Same thing in Ethiopia. In East Africa, we have Ethiopia, Madagascar. In North Africa, we have Algeria and other countries. And we have in Central Africa, we have Cameroon, DRC, Congo, Burundi, Gabon, and Angola. So in total, we have 496 respondents. 496 respondents might actually be low, considering that we are targeting 50 countries. However, being the first of its kind, this BIM Africa report, being the first of its kind, it can actually be excused because since this is the first edition, it's expected that we are going to face some challenges. So some of the challenges is actually the low turnout of respondents. And during the data collection process, there is the outbreak of COVID-19. So it is hope and believe that during the subsequent BIM Africa report, the BIM Africa survey, we are going to have more respondents. But another thing to the number of respondents is, despite the fact that we have a low number of respondents, all the respondents are actually from different regions, and they cover 30 countries out of 54 countries in Africa. So the West Africa accounts for 72%. The Southern Africa accounts for 6.29. Same thing, 6.66 and 7. The other 7 is Central Africa. So result and discussion. So one of the questions that we ask them is about your organization. We ask them about including yourself, approximately how many people are employed in your organization. So about 31.35% of the respondents are working with 3 to 5, while about 24.76 are working in firms of 6 to 15. About 10.97 are working in 501 plus firms, and so on and so forth. So what this actually means is that a high percentage of our respondents are actually from SME. This is not surprising because in any construction industry or in any industry, the small and medium sized enterprises are actually the backbone, and they represent a larger percentage, about 90% or 80% of the firms in any sector. So the fact that we have most of our respondents coming from SME signifies that the SMEs are actually the backbone of the construction industry in Africa. So about the profession, we ask them about the profession. We have architects, about more than 20%. We have civil engineer, we have cost consultant, we have structural engineer, we have project manager, BIM manager, contractor, building surveyor, and so on and so forth. So what this means is that our respondents are actually not from a particular profession. We have architects from design, we have cost consultants, we have project manager, we have from designing stage, we have from design stage, we have from construction stage, and so on and so forth. So we have a balanced perception from professionals in the Africa built environment. So we asked them about their modus operandi. So here it is seen, 44.1% of the respondents actually produced 3 digital models. 34.4 produced 2D digital drawings that are not generated from a 3D model. 33.1% use structured information that is linked to 3D digital model. And about 17.8 produce hand drawing in Africa out of our respondents. So what this means is that people are actually embracing digital model. However, not all the 3D digital models that they are using are actually intelligent. Actually, they might not actually contain information rich. But if you look at this chart, there seems to be like a ray of hope if 44% are currently producing 3D digital model, and about 33% are actually using structured information that is linked to 3D digital model. It is hoped that in the nearest future, there are more people are actually going to be using structured information that is linked to 3D digital model. The other side of this chart is we still have like 17.8 people that are producing hand drawings that are stuck with the old way of doing things in Africa. So the design tools that they're actually making use of, they make use of Autodesk, AutoCAD, they make use of Autodesk Revit, they make use of Graphisoft, ArchiCAD, and so on and so forth, as you've seen here. So we try to compare this to the NBS 2020, the BIM survey in the UK. It's quite similar. In the UK, they are making use of Autodesk, Graphisoft, Autodesk, AutoCAD, Autodesk, AutoCAD LT, and Vectorworks. So this shows that there is no significant difference between the tools, the design tools that we are making use of in Africa and the design tools that they are making use of in the UK. So about BIM awareness, we asked them probably if they've heard about BIM before. So about 90% are of the opinion that they've heard about BIM before, while like 9% said no, and 1 didn't respond to the answer. So we compare this to the NBS 2020. So the NBS 2020 currently now, they have 99% are actually aware. 99% are actually aware and using BIM in the UK now. Because 73% are now using BIM, 26% are aware. But if you want to add the total number of people that are aware of BIM in the UK, you can say 99% are aware. Why in Africa, we have only 90%. This is still comparable. Because in 2011, only 45% are using BIM in the UK. Only 45% are using BIM in the UK. And, sorry, pardon me. Only 13% are using BIM in the UK in 2011, and 45% are just aware, which means in 2011, only 56% are aware of BIM in the UK. So compare that to what we have in Africa in 2020. We have 90% that are aware of BIM. But it doesn't mean that all these 90% are actually making use of BIM, as we are going to see later. So we asked them about BIM adoption. So we asked them if they've used BIM on their project before. Only 44.96, that's about 45% are making use of BIM in one way or the other on their project. So we compare that to NBS 2020. If you compare that to NBS 2020, because in 2020 now, the NBS reported that 73% are actually aware and using BIM in the UK presently. So you can't compare that to 44%. And out of this 44%, most of them are not using it on all their projects, as we are going to see later. So if we want to place the Africa on a trajectory of the UK trajectory, we can say Africa is presently on, we are presently at maybe 2014, when the UK had 54% aware and currently using BIM. So that's what we can actually compare ourselves with, or 2015, when they had 48%. So it's actually interesting to see how Africa compares with the UK. So we asked them about BIM implementation, in the sense that how do you implement BIM in your firm? So some of them, they don't know whether they are actually, how they are implementing BIM, whether it's in-house, partial, or outsourcing, partial in-house or full outsourcing. So about 36% don't know. About 30% are making use of BIM in-house, are making use of BIM implementation in-house. So what this means is that there is need for further training in order for construction firms in Africa to have in-house experts. And there is opportunity for BIM specialists to actually get opportunity to work in firms in Africa, and to actually train professionals in these firms. So this shows us that there is opportunity for BIM professionals in Africa construction industry. So we asked them about their previous project. So you can see that 44% produce 2D digital drawing, 45% produce 3D digital drawing, 44.1 work collaboratively on design, 29.7 share models inside the organization. However, just only 8.1 pass on the model to those who are responsible for the continued management of the building. What does it mean? This means people are still producing digital drawing, 2D digital drawing in Africa, which they might not actually generate from the 3D digital model, which means there is still need for people to actually reap the benefits of 3D digital model from which they can actually then generate their 2D drawings. And also, if you look at this, only 8.1% actually pass this model. If they're actually making use of a BIM model from the beginning, only 8.1% actually pass the model to the facility management, to the facility manager for the operation and maintenance of the project, which shows that at the end of the day, the information in the model is going to lead to waste. So there is need to bridge the gap between the design, construction, and the operation and maintenance phase in Africa. So we asked them about the organization project. So about 75% actually believe, about 75% strongly agree that using BIM results in operation and maintenance savings. Even though they agree that BIM results in operation and maintenance savings, only 8%, as we've seen here, only 8% actually pass that model to the facility manager or those responsible for management of the facility. So this is quite sad. And also, it's not surprising in Africa that people are still of the opinion that BIM is just for larger organizations. They believe that BIM is not for SMEs. That BIM is not for SMEs. And also, it's quite interesting to see that 40% strongly agree that unless specifications are linked to the digital model, it's not BIM. So this shows, we can infer from this that people are actually aware now that just you having ordinary 3D model is not actually BIM model. That you need to have information-rich model before you can actually call it a model. And also in Africa, our respondents believe that there is need for the manufacturer to provide for them BIM objects. And most of the projects that they are currently embarking on are not compatible with BIM. They are not. They don't have framework to actually bring BIM implementation in some of their projects. And also, 54% believe that there is need that those that are working for the government, they don't understand the benefit of BIM, and that's quite true, because when we are talking about BIM and the government support in Africa, it's very rare to see government that are supporting BIM in Africa. Out of the 54 countries in Africa, less than 5 are actually supporting BIM mandates in Africa. So there is need for the firms in Africa to change their orientation, because BIM is just not for larger. It's not just for larger firms. And since they believe that BIM results in operation and maintenance savings, there is need for them to actually pass it after making use of it at the design stage, construction stage. There is need for them to actually pass it to the owner for them to benefit on this BIM model during the operation and maintenance phase of the project. So BIM widespread adoption. If you look at this chart, BIM adoption is still low. Everybody believes that in Africa. That BIM adoption is still very low. So this is supported by our respondents. That BIM adoption is still very low in Africa. And about 70%, 69.46 believe that there is need for government support. That there is need for government support. And yet, 23% still strongly believe that they are not clear about what to do with BIM. I'm still not clear on what I have to do to adopt BIM. So they are still not clear about when it comes to BIM implementation. How are they going to go about BIM implementation? Some of them might actually be interested in adopting BIM, but how do they go about BIM implementation? So this shows us that even though the level of awareness is increasing in Africa, there is need for us to be talking more about how people are going to implement and how they are going to navigate the hurdles of BIM implementation. So barriers, we asked them about the barriers. If you look at the number one barrier is lack of training, then lack of government support, as we've said earlier, lack of in-house experts. This is one of the reasons why some of them are actually making use of outsourcing for BIM implementation, because they don't have experts to actually lead BIM implementation in their company. And another one that is very germane is the cost, because some of the SMEs, or most of the SMEs, they don't have the resources, they don't have enough resources for them to actually adopt BIM. So we compare this with the MBS 2020 results. And if you look at the first 5, they have no client demand, lack of in-house expertise, and lack of training, and also cost, which means there's significantly no difference between the challenges that they are facing in the UK and the challenges we are facing in the US. Though the level at which they are facing these challenges might be different, because in Africa now we are talking about, you see, here in Africa we talk about government support for BIM, whereas if you look at the first 5 or first 3 challenges in the UK, they don't talk about BIM. They don't talk about lack of government support. So we need government support in Africa in order for us to push forward with BIM support. But when you're talking about stuff like interoperability, operating system specific software, and other things when it comes to liability concern, these are general stuff. It's not only limited to Africa. So future use of BIM in 5 years' time, about 52.1% believe that they are going to be using BIM on all their projects. While about 38.1% believe that in 3 years they will be making use of it. About 17.6% believe in 1 year's time they will be making use of it. Only 16.11% are actually making use of BIM currently on all their projects. What does it mean? The meaning of this, what we can actually infer from this is, as we progress, because if you look at currently 16%, 1 year 17%, 3 years 38.1%, 5 years 52.1%, it means gradual by gradual, little by little, there is hope for construction firms in Africa. They are actually looking towards adoption of BIM, and it is hope by 2025, about 52% of construction firms will be making use of BIM on all their projects. So BIM usage, we ask them about BIM usage. So some of them, from their experience, some of them actually believe that BIM results in operation and maintenance savings, as we've said earlier. But one thing that is of utmost importance for us to know is private clients don't understand the benefit of BIM, and those procuring buildings or other assets for central government don't understand the benefit of BIM. So there is need for us to actually engage with clients, either from the private sector or from the public sector, for them to know the importance of BIM usage. So as the professionals as the level of awareness of BIM is increasing at the professional side, there is need for us to actually carry along the client side. In conclusion, there is an increase in the level of BIM awareness. However, this does not translate to BIM implementation, as we've seen. There is currently like 90% level of awareness. However, only 16% of these people that are aware of BIM are making use of BIM on all their projects. Also, there is need for institutional support. Government and professional bodies need to support BIM, because if you look at some of the challenges that they listed, one of the challenges is lack of government support and lack of training. So the lack of training will be in 2 ways. We have the short-term and the long-term. We have the short-term solution, we have the long-term solution. The short-term solution is training professionals that we already have in the construction industry, that they are already out there working in the workforce. While the long-term solution is for us to actually work towards having BIM compliance. It doesn't need to be only BIM, but we need to have digital tools compliance graduates, in the sense that in the next 5 years, the type of graduate that will be producing in the construction industry, that will be having the construction industry, they need to be BIM compliant. They need to be digitally aware of things that are actually going on. So this will serve as a long-term solution. But the short-term solution that we can actually make use of is actually having BIM experts to train our BIM professionals. Implication of the findings. One of the implications of the findings is at BIM Africa, we've embarked on, as part of our mandate, engagement of professionals through conferences, workshops, roundtables. And one of the conference is this current BIM Arambe by BIM Community Africa and BIM Africa, which serve as an avenue for BIM professionals in Africa to come together for us to push forward with BIM implementation in Africa. And also engaging the government bodies. There is need for us to bring the government representative on board. In Nigeria, BIM Africa actually did a BIM roadmap for Nigeria recently, whereby we invited parties, we invited representatives from the government side for us to actually talk about BIM implementation, and same from professional bodies. So it's not only this BIM implementation push in Africa, it's a collective effort. from both the clients, the professionals, and the government. And there is this for professional training and students. So we at BIM Africa, based on the findings of our survey, we've embarked, even before, long before now, we've embarked on training professionals, and we actually started the student advocacy program. The student advocacy program is meant to serve as a long-term solution in which we engage with students that actually that are still in school. We engage with them in order for us to inform them what is actually obtainable in the construction industry, and for them to be BIM compliant. And it's not only theoretical; we get them, we get their hands dirty by involving them in one or two projects as regards BIM. So this type of students, when they later graduate and they join us in the construction industry, it will be easier for them to actually for them to actually adopt BIM compared to the present workforce that we have in the construction industry. It's very hard for people to change. When you don't know about a thing, it will be difficult for people to actually convince you. Also, project report on BIM implementation. In our Africa BIM report, we try to bring project reports to show how people have been implementing BIM. Because when you see that other people are implementing BIM, you know that BIM is not impossible. You can actually implement BIM. And also, we look forward to work on BIM benefit evaluation, because it's true awareness as regards benefit of BIM that more people are going to join the BIM movement. When I tell you that, oh, if you make use of BIM within 5 years, you're going to break even, or within the next 2-3 years, you're going to break even, and you're going to make this so profit. You're going, your productivity is going to increase, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. It's really going to encourage people. So, implication of these findings, since we've seen that people actually believe that BIM benefits are not tangible, we at BIM Africa Research and Development Committee, we look forward to working more on BIM benefit evaluation, such as a cost-benefit analysis, because the cost of BIM is very high. So we need to look at the cost and benefits and then we can have a prototype, maybe a particular SME firm in any region in Africa, how they are implementing BIM, the challenges that they are facing. So these are some of the implications of the findings. And this will serve as, because if you notice that there is a problem, you need to diagnose the problem. We diagnose the problem. And these are some of the things that we need to do in order for us to push the industry forward. We need to engage the professionals, we need to engage the government, we need to train professionals, and we need more reports in order to encourage other firms. So what's next for the Africa BIM report? Well, the Africa BIM report 2020 is actually a first step for us at Research and Development Committee. We look forward to doing more, and we look forward to improve what we've actually worked on. So some of the things we look forward to doing, to embark on, is collaboration. Because if you check this 2020 Africa survey, we only have 30 countries out of the 54 countries, and we actually focus more on regions, say West Africa, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa. Our next Africa BIM report will be much more focused on countries, in the sense that we want each country to be represented. We need respondents from each country. Thus, we are looking forward to collaborate with professionals, with researchers that are passionate about BIM, to actually join us in our BIM movement and in our objective of putting the Africa on the map of BIM globally. Also, data collection. We want to change the approach with which we collected data, because we focus on region. The data collection will now be country specific. And then language. The BIM Africa 2020 was made available in French and English. Same for the survey form. It was made available in French and English. We hope that subsequent BIM Africa survey will be available in French, English, and Arabic, in order to cater for Northern Africa, so that we have more respondents coming from that particular region. And also, we hope to have more project reports that people are actually making use of BIM in Africa. And last but not the least, we want to focus on the construction and FM stage. A quick glance at the current Africa BIM report will show you that we focus more on the design stage. So subsequent one, we will try to have a balanced perspective from design, construction, FM phase. So in summary, the BIM Africa survey is actually it's really a step in the right direction for us. We've successfully put the Africa on the map of BIM globally. So now people are aware that we're actually working on BIM, and we look forward to doing more by collaboration with other people from different regions, data collection, improving the language in which we make, which we're going to make available our survey form, more project reports, and more focus on other phases during the life cycle, that is the construction phase and the FM phase. Thank you very much.